chosen one, what I'm about to reveal could change your life forever. This isn't just a warning, it's a revelation that could save your spiritual destiny. There is one sin so dangerous, so destructive, that if you commit it, God may never use you again. It sounds intense because it is. Your calling, your purpose, your destiny, all of that is on the line. Stay with me until the end of this message, because I'm going to reveal what this sin is and how you can avoid it before it's too late. Here's the truth: most chosen ones are already being lured into this trap without even realizing it. It's more common than you might think. The reason it's so dangerous is because it creeps up on you silently, almost unnoticed. This sin sneaks into your life in ways that feel natural, so much so that it can take root without you even recognizing it. But by the end of this message, you won't just know what it is, you'll know how to defeat it and protect yourself from its deadly grip. You've always known you were different. There's a purpose in you, something greater than just the day-to-day grind. You've faced trials that would break others, and yet you keep pushing forward. Ever wonder why? Why you seem to go through more than most? It's because you're chosen. God has placed a divine calling on your life, one that is greater than the obstacles in your path. But this calling is also why the enemy works overtime to distract and destroy you. God has set you apart. You've been chosen for a purpose that only you can fulfill. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every setback you've experienced was preparing you for something greater. Those moments weren't to break you, but to refine you, to mold you into the person God has destined you to be. You see, your trials were never about the situation itself. They were about building your strength, your resilience, and your spiritual awareness. God has been sharpening you for His divine purpose. But here's the thing: being chosen comes with an immense responsibility. This isn't just about receiving blessings or having spiritual gifts. It's about being entrusted with a mission from God. You are a vessel for His work. And because of that, you have a target on your back. The enemy knows who you are, and he is terrified of your potential. That's why he works overtime to distract you, tempt you, and knock you off your path. The higher your calling, the more intense the attacks will be. And the enemy knows that he doesn't need to come at you in obvious ways. He knows that you're too spiritually aware for that. So instead, he uses subtle tactics to get to you. The sin I'm about to reveal is his most dangerous weapon. It's subtle, it's insidious, and it can destroy your calling without you even realizing what's happening. But before I tell you what it is, let me explain the spiritual warfare you're currently in. Right now, whether you realize it or not, you are in the middle of a spiritual war. This war isn't about the visible things around you. It's a battle for your soul, your purpose, and your destiny. There are forces fighting over your future, and the enemy is determined to keep you from fulfilling your God-given mission. He knows how powerful you are, and that's why he's trying so hard to distract and destroy you. Have you felt it? The tension in your life, the feeling that you're constantly under attack. That's not just life, it's spiritual warfare. The enemy wants you to give up, to lose faith, to stop trusting in God. But here's the thing: you are stronger than he knows. You have the power to defeat him, but you have to be aware of his tactics. And the tactic he's using right now is a deadly sin that can sever your connection with God if you're not careful. You might have already encountered it in your life. Maybe you've felt a sense of frustration, anger, or even bitterness lately. These are warning signs that this sin is creeping in. So what is this sin? What is the one thing that, if you allow it to take root, could cause God to stop using you? It's pride. But this isn't the kind of pride you might expect. This pride is more dangerous because it's subtle. It's the kind of pride that whispers in your ear, "You know better than God." It tells you, "You can handle this on your own." Or worse, it makes you believe that you're too broken, too sinful, or too flawed for God to use. Pride can come in many forms. It can look like arrogance, where you begin to think that your wisdom, your strength, or your accomplishments are enough to get you through life without God. Or it can appear as self-pity, where you believe you're too damaged for God to work through you. Either way, pride takes your focus off God and places it on yourself. It's dangerous because it's the root of all sin. When pride takes over, you stop trusting God and you start relying on yourself. That's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants you to think you don't need God, that you can figure it all out on your own. But when you start to believe that, you're already on a path that leads away from your purpose. Pride manifests in ways that seem innocent at first. It might show up as frustration when things don't go your way, or jealousy when someone else gets the blessing you've been praying for. It might appear as a need for control, where you try to make things happen in your timing instead of waiting for God's timing. These are all signs that pride is taking root. The enemy knows that if he can make you proud, he can sever your connection to God. And once that connection is broken, your ability to fulfill your purpose is in jeopardy. So how do you fight it? How do you keep pride from taking over your life? The first step is recognizing it. You have to be willing to look inward and ask yourself if pride is creeping into your heart. Are you trusting in your own strength more than God's? Are you trying to control situations that are out of your hands? Are you feeling frustrated or bitter because things aren't going your way? Once you've identified pride, the next step is to humble yourself before God. This is not easy. It requires you to admit that you don't have all the answers, that you can't do it all on your own. It requires surrender, letting go of your need for control, and allowing God to guide you. One of the most powerful ways to humble yourself is through prayer, but not just any prayer. You need to come before God with an open heart, fully surrendering your plans, your desires, and your fears. Ask Him to show you the areas in your life where pride has taken root. And then ask Him to help you remove it. Remember, humility is not about thinking less of yourself, it's about thinking of yourself less. It's about recognizing that without God, you are nothing. But with God, you are everything He created you to be. Another way to combat pride is through gratitude. Pride often stems from a sense of entitlement, thinking you deserve more than what you have, or that you've earned your blessings through your own efforts. But when you shift your focus to gratitude, you begin to see that everything you have is a gift from God. Take time every day to thank God for the blessings in your life, even the small things. Gratitude keeps you grounded, reminding you that it's not your own efforts that have brought you this far, it's God's grace. Surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable. Pride thrives in isolation, but humility grows in community. Find people who will speak truth into your life, even when it's hard to hear. You need friends who will call you out when they see pride creeping in, who will remind you to stay humble and keep your focus on God. The enemy wants you to believe that you're alone in this, that no one understands what you're going through. But that's a lie. God has placed people in your life for a reason. Don't push them away. Let them help you stay on the path God has for you. Lastly, remember this: God resists the proud, but He gives grace to the humble. When you humble yourself before Him, you open the door for His grace to flood your life. And with that grace comes wisdom, strength, and the power to fulfill your purpose. Pride will block your blessings, but humility will unlock the doors to your destiny. When you humble yourself before God, you allow Him to use you in ways you could never imagine. That's when miracles happen. That's when breakthroughs come. That's when you step into the fullness of your purpose. So, chosen one, I leave you with this question: are you willing to humble yourself and let God take control? Because when you do, there's nothing the enemy can do to stop you from fulfilling your divine destiny.